You don't have to fill your schedule up with biweekly mowings. Most of us do it to get started because that's what the customer wants. It makes me want to puke every time I answer my phone here and somebody says, what do you charge to cut a yard, and I want to get a cut every 2 weeks? I'll tell you my answer to that is minimum's $116 if you're 5,000 square feet or less. Well, what do you mean? That's a lot of money. Well, no, our weekly minimum's 58. So if I'm going to do it every 2 weeks, I need to have at least 116 and probably some on top of that to boot because it's going to take me longer to get it done right. It's not like, I call it the pizza mentality. You know, and I mean, I can just hear some of you guys cringing out there saying, well, no, you don't have to double your price, Wayne. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe if you really know your cost, you don't have to. But you know what? I got 24 hours a day, right? Same as you've got. If I'm going to commit an every other week cycle to somebody, which I'm not going to do, but I'm just trying to justify it in the minds of those that do. If you're going to commit to an every 2 week cycle for somebody, and let's forget the problematic part of all that brings along from a scheduling and rain standpoint, okay? They're going to pay me for the time that I'm not selling them in between services as well. Just that simple. It's just that simple. It's got to be at least double the rate. So if you're going to pay double, why don't you just let me come once a week and keep the yard looking professional so I don't have to come over there and mow 9 inches of grass or 8 inches of grass and cut it 47 times and blow it and cut it another 47 times just to get it to look right. And now it's wet, and now I've got sidewalks are green, driveways are green. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about. I ain't making this shit up. It's reality. The first thing you got to commit to when you decide you really want to make profit at mowing grass is commit to going out and finding weekly service customers, bid at the right minimum price. And do you have a minimum that you're using? That's the question. Do you have a minimum, and are you sticking to it? Talk to a lot of guys that tell me they got a minimum, but you know what? They always give me a reason why they come off their minimum. Well, man, they're right next door to each other. Wayne, you don't understand. Wayne, you don't understand. They're right next door. I don't have the drive time. Well, good. You don't have the drive time. They're right next door. You got 7 in a row. How'd you get 7 in a row? Because you did terrible work? No, you got 7 in a row because you do a good job. And the person that those other 6 had initially, man, they're seeing you show up. The yard looks good. You're showing up regularly. And why ain't my yard looking like that? I'm going to see if Mike can come do mine. And then they knock on your truck door. Hey, Mike, can you mow my yard for me? Absolutely, man. Yeah, you're right next door here doing hers, and I really like the way hers looks. But by the way, since you're going to be doing 2 of us, and I got another neighbor down here that wants you to, can you give us all a price break? Now your little squirrel gets running around in that little cage inside your mind, and it's like, well, I don't have the drive time, and I'm already here, and I've only got to unload once. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound familiar? Absolutely, you can do it, and you can make a nice hourly rate doing it. But why? That's what I want to ask is why? They approached you, right? They approached you. Just got a text from a gentleman that says, man, I've made all these mistakes. I guarantee it, man, I did too. But when you really want to get serious about making money cutting grass, you establish a minimum. You look for weekly accounts. It's reoccurring revenue. Hell, watch Shark Tank for a week. They talk about it all the time. Reoccurring revenue. A systematic reoccurring revenue. You might say, well, it's systematic when it's every 2 weeks. Okay, good. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to tell you, when you want to come to the real profit world, you'll make a change. and you'll get out of them bi-weekly services, and you won't give discounts for having multiple neighbors side by side by side. Because how did you get those multiples? Because you did a good job and you showed up and you did great work. Now, if you start giving discounts because you've got multiple neighbors, and you can do it because you're right, your costs are not the same as having to drive and load and go to another job a mile away or a block away or whatever it is. But you don't have to give it away, because I found that out too. I used to do that. Okay, I'd say, yeah, we can give you a break. So now what I had to do was, when I gave the two neighbors a break, I had to go back to my existing customer that I had and tell them, okay, because I'm doing 3 of y'all now, I'm going to save you $4 a week too. How many times are we going to go backwards? That's what we call bass-ackwards. Don't put yourself in that position. Don't put yourself in the position where you got to go bass-ackwards to make money.